This gigantic island is about to become ground zero for my newest long-term project. You see, I had this idea a little while back to create a massive dye farm, unlike anything I'd ever seen before. I want to make an adventure land with 16 different areas, all themed to a specific color of dye in Minecraft. This project is going to be a massive undertaking, and I'm not going to finish it all in one day. We'll come back and add more as we get the inspiration. But the best part about it? My base is just a short flight away. Yeah, this is going to be a massive undertaking. And like a few other projects we have in this world, this isn't going to be one that we complete all today. In fact, it's highly unlikely we even complete it by the end of the year. Of course, I could just be like any other YouTuber and throw all these dyes together in one farm and just call it good. But of course, I have to be different. Gotta be a little quirky with it. Starting us off though, this is a lot of area and we have 16 different things, farms, buildings, locations, whatever, to fit in this area. And granted, it is a gigantic area, so we really don't have to worry about space. But I do want to create an outline, like we usually do, just to give us some baselines to work with. So if we pop into Cheaty Cam and go all the way up, we can get a fairly solid view of the area. I'm gonna take a screenshot, drag it over to MS Paint, and draw a couple boxes. So this up here is gonna be our squid farm. And then the subject of today is our cactus farm, which of course is gonna be like an old-timey western town. So where would I wanna put that? I think if we go down here and section off this area, that could make a nice little corner for our cactuses. And those are basically the only two I had in mind right now. So we're just gonna go through the colors and randomly plot, because I really have no idea what the other themes are gonna be. I'm just gonna throw random squares. This is absolutely atrocious, but this is gonna be the general idea of the park. I mean, we're really gonna set like a very loose border around here. If we need to expand in this area, we definitely can. It's really not that big of a deal. But main like structures, I mean, this is a very loose outline. I do want to put the entrance somewhere over here. That way it's kind of like facing our base area. Other than that, though, I mean, none of these are really set in stone except for the squid farm. I had a general idea. The blue dye, I think it'd be fun to do like a water park. Something around the water is kind of set in stone, but everything else is pretty loose. And unless you're a visual peep like I am, that might not have helped you at all. And honestly, rewatching it back didn't really help me either. But I think the general area that we decided for our cactus farm, which is just this area right here, I think it'd be okay. Again, this is absolutely all subject to change, but can we take a step back here and picture it? I think we can make it work. Now, this is going to be a good bit of work, but luckily I have the majority of the resources I think we'll need for at least today's portion of Cactus Ranch. That being lime terracotta and dark green terracotta. Of course, those colors are subject to change, but I think the lime terracotta has a pretty solid cactus coloring. And then for the darker spots, I think the green terracotta is going to work just perfectly. Now, of course, these won't be the only two colors because we're going to make some silly goofy cactuses, and silly goofy cactuses require silly goofy colors. Can't believe I just said that sentence, but yes, we will probably end up using other materials than these two. But as a little preparation, I just gathered a ton of both of these colors. So we're gonna take those. We'll take some dirt for general shaping purposes. Just gonna put those in there. And I think we'll need a lot of sand. This is supposed to be a desert after all. Oh, and of course, I can't forget, obviously we need cactus. Yeah, cat's out of the bag on this one. I actually have more than enough cactus. But it's not cool. It's just sitting here in this mountain that I built forever ago. There's nothing fun about that. Oh, this is such a stupid idea. So let's get to work. I forgot my stone. Okay, now let's get to work. Okay, let's take a second and put on our imagination caps and take a look at what will eventually be the Cactus Ranch theme park. Once we are through this entryway, we are greeted with the main part of the town. Over on the left here, we're going to have our sheriff's office. Over on the right, we're going to have our Cactus Juice Saloon. Moving further along between the sheriff's office and the general store, we are going to have an entrance into a ride. You see, we have this big old hole back here, and I think it'd be really fun to turn this into some kind of a Miner's Gulch type roller coaster run thing. Just a little further into the town, we have some other building markers that I'm not quite sure what they need to be yet, but we have space for a few more extra buildings, including a bank over there, a chapel and old church down there, and then a doctor's office right there. All of these are very subject to change because this is a very rough outline at the moment. But moving on past this like town square, town center area, we're going to have two more of those pillars like we had in the entryway and another big arch here that's going to lead into the main attraction, which is the actual Cactus Ranch. In this little area, this little space, we're going to have a farmhouse that's going to be like the ranch house, the place where the farmers live, the ranchers live for wrangling the cactus. Something along those lines. I'm sure the lore will come at some point. And like I said, this is going to be like the center of a valley. So there's going to be walls all around us. And then the main attraction, which is going to be these square things here. So these four things are going to be our cactus farms. And when I say cactus farm, I actually mean our cactus actors and actresses. Because these aren't just going to be random cactuses. These are going to be cactus caricatures that are acting out a scene. So generally speaking, we're going to lean heavily into the old Western theme, and we're going to have a sheriff who is battling, facing off with a bandit who is holding a damsel in distress hostage. What? With cactus? Yeah, with cactus. Because you see, I was kind of drawing and sketching out ideas for these cactus and how I wanted them to look, and well, they just didn't look right being plain. So I decided to give them a little story. We're going to give them a little bit of action, some lore, some background, all that kind of stuff. And we're going to turn our cactus into people. We're going to have a sheriff, an outlaw bandit type thing, the damsel, and, well, we got to throw a fun one in there, a prospector. And that prospector is going to go right there, right on the edge of our Gulch mine ride thing that's going to be coming at some point in the future. But at the moment, all of this is extremely rough and extremely disgusting. Honestly, it's really gross looking. We're not going to do all of this today. I think what we're going to focus on in today's episode is just the cactuses themselves, or cacti. We're going to focus on just the cacti themselves today and kind of see how we feel from there. We'll roll with it, and we'll just kind of build bricks on bricks and not expect us to build an entire house today. Probably the wrong metaphor to use because I could actually probably build a house in today's episode, but you know, whatever. First things first, we're going to construct the actual cactus farms. I've learned enough in my time playing this game that the farm comes first and the build after. We've just got a standard farm layout, 16 cactus per layer, however many layers we can fit in each hole. Next up came the pots. I went for brown mushroom as the main block, keeping a straight cylindrical shape up until the lip, which I made out of regular terracotta. I also took the time to fill the top of the pot with coarse dirt so that our cactuses weren't just floating there. They turned out a little cartoonish, but honestly, I'm okay with that. It's supposed to be an amusement park. It's supposed to be like a family-friendly attraction, so if they're a little cartoony, I think that's okay. Now, of course, this is only 1, 2, and 3 pots. We're still missing the last little guy over here, and that's because we're doing something special. See, if I pop on over here, grab this. As you might have noticed in my brilliant sketch, the prospector didn't actually have a pot. See, I thought it'd be funny if we stuck him in a barrel, like that. Yeah. I don't know why, that just screams prospector to me. So instead of a pot like we have over there, we're just gonna try our best to recreate a barrel. And I think it'd be fun whenever we build the cactuses to have him like fishing over the pond, or like he's fishing for gold or something, you know, like a prospector does. And we're gonna use stripped spruce wood for the main barrel texture. We might end up using the unstripped wood for like these dark strips and maybe even the dark ridges on the barrel, but we're just gonna have to see. And just like the other ones, we're going to start out with a circle, trying to keep it as tight as we can to the farm itself. We're not going to make it a square barrel because that wouldn't look as realistic as we want to go for here. Not that a giant prospector cactus is realistic in the first place, but I digress. Okay, and I don't want it to stick up too much higher than the other pots we have here, so we're probably going to take it 3 or 4 more blocks above this. I feel like that's a good height, and honestly, we could always make it taller. So next, I think I want to try and add these ring things. I think I might have done it on the wrong level. Maybe there instead? Yeah, and then I think we're going to add a lip of spruce planks above this. Okay, it works. It works. And I think for the dark spots, the ridges along the barrel, I think we're going to do dark oak stripped. And let's say every, like, 2 blocks? Maybe, hang on. Let's do it here. No. On the edge? Yeah, that could work. And then on the corners. Okay, it's not the prettiest barrel in the world, but you get the idea. And we can always come back through and add texturing and other things to make it feel more barrel-ish. I think we might, in the future, bring the terrain down a little bit, just so we can make the barrel taller downward, if that makes sense. We'll make it look like it's bigger by just removing the ground around it, and that way we don't mess up the height between the 2 pots, or the pots on that side and the barrel over here. Other than that, though, I'm not sure how to make this look more like a barrel. And from a distance, it looks barrel-ish enough. I think, now that I'm looking at it from this perspective, I think the stripped dark oak parts stick out just a little bit too much. And I think we might swap those with some spruce planks. That might be what this thing is missing. Okay, just a little bit. How's that? Yeah, that might be it, actually. And survey says, okay, yeah, I think I could live with that. Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. That works. Just got to get some of you. And like I did with the other ones, we're going to create a little ring around the edge just to have a little border between where the dirt of the cactus sits, like that. And then we're going to fill it in with coarse dirt. And this is what the actual cactus is going to be sitting on. And with the other ones, we created a little more of a lip on the inside, and this one we're going flush because the top of a barrel is just flat, and we're going to make it seem like the prospector is just kind of sitting in it, and just hanging out at the top. Just like that. And now that we have all the pots settled, it's time for the fun, organic part that I'm just so good at doing and so excited about. I'm probably going to suffer for a while, but y'all enjoy a quick time lapse. Hit it. You ever catch yourself in the middle of doing something and just kind of think, what have I done? I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I'm both equally appalled and ecstatic about what we were able to do. I think the excitement and shame are butting heads in my brain, and I can no longer come up with words. I don't know what to say. This is so goofy and just so weird. I don't know why I'm doing this. Why? Why is he a cowboy? What are we doing? And we're so far from being finished. There's still so much left to do. I just don't understand anymore. I think I need to go outside. Yep. I made it worse. It looks like a pickle. Okay, it's the next day, and it's looking a bit better. I went less realism and more cartoonish, and I think it works a lot better considering the nature of the cartoony elements that we have already. So instead of going like full-blown up and down lines, I just kind of put lines randomly, kind of like I was just shading in certain areas. And I swapped out the buttons for smooth sandstone, and those right there are endstone heads, I believe. So not quite super vanilla, but you know, it just adds a little bit of extra depth. You could definitely get away with just having smooth stone everywhere. But I think this is a good general baseline that we can follow with the other cacti. Obviously, we still are missing some general details, like I want to put a sheriff's star right there. We need to color in the hat. I want to put like a bag of money or cash in this hand right here, and general things. But I do think I want to carry this baseline across the other cacti. With the baseline in place, I decided it was time to work on some of the terraforming. Eventually there's going to be a gigantic wall or a lower barrier surrounding every park, so I'm not too worried about the edges of the terraforming. I just kind of wanted to get my idea on paper. Okay, I think everything is in a pretty good place right now. We've got all the details on every cactus. The terraforming's in a good place. We're just kind of missing those last little details that we just talked about. And that's what these two shulkers in my inventory are going to be for. We have Goldie Blocks and Mustache Box. Now, Goldie Blocks, we are going to use these to build a badge, because of course our sheriff is going to be holding his badge, telling the criminal, the bandit, the dude over here that's going to be holding a money bag, that no, he cannot do that, and no, he should let the damsel go and quit frightening her. Typical sheriff activities, if you ask me. And then the last thing on the sheriff will be a big burly mustache and some eyeballs. I think. If we can get the eyeballs to look right. I might just take those out. I'm not really sure yet. But for the star, I think we're going to go with a fairly simple pattern. Sheriff badges are famously six-pointed, but that shape doesn't really work in Minecraft, so this is probably the closest that we're going to get. And for the mustache, we are going to do this orientation. Just trust me. So we're going to take these, and we're going to fly up here. Now we could probably put this like here, I think. Surprisingly hard to build an F5. Not gonna lie. Okay. And for the reveal... yeah, close enough. Close enough, yeah. Not awful. Not awful. You can kind of tell what it's supposed to be, I think. Definitely something I can live with. Now for the important bit. I think it went something like this. Nope, I'm missing something. Goodness. Okay. Big reveal. Do we need eyeballs? Maybe. That mustache is pretty dastardly. I'm not quite sure that screams good guy, but oh my gosh, that is a magnificent stash. I think he does need eyeballs though. Where is the question? Oh gosh. Nope. That is not it. Here maybe? God, no, that's not it either. Okay, maybe he doesn't need eyeballs. That's fine. I can live with that. Okay, next is the hard part. We gotta make it look like there's a bag of cash in that arm right there. Somehow we'll make it work. This shape turned out fairly good. I just wish there was room to include like a dollar sign or something to make the bag a bit more obvious, but whatever. And since I was already in the groove, I decided to knock out the coloring of the sheriff's hat as well. Alright, that is looking pretty good. I think it's fairly easy to tell what's going on here. I do wish the money bag kind of contrasted a little bit heavier, but if we kind of went for like a burlap sack and kind of an old-timey feel for it, so it matches the aesthetic that we're chasing, but it just doesn't look as contrasty as I would like. It kind of blends in a little too much, but whatever. And for the most part, I think that puts us at complete for this scene. Of course, we're missing like a lot of the details in the surrounding terrain. We did not do any of the town today. We didn't do any of the walls or anything like that. And that's okay, because this project is going to take us a fairly long time to complete. Not just this specific park, but the entire area of this future Die Land, Adventure Land, whatever we end up calling it, area. It's going to be a huge project. It's going to take us probably years, if we're being honest. And for a first step today, I think this is a fairly comical and fairly accurate, faithful start to everything else that we're going to probably do, and everything wacky that we're going to do in the future projects around this area. Just to close off with some like general ideas of what I'm thinking, I might play around some more with the details on the cacti. We're going to leave the prospector as is for now. We're not going to color in his hat until we probably do that mine gulch ride thing, whatever we end up calling it. We'll do more of his details around that time. But for now, I mean, we set out to make a cactus farm, and we have achieved that in probably an abstract and obscure way, but a very fun and creative way nonetheless. I think, of course, we're going to need to put some more details in the pots, probably some like floodlights around the area, different little cactuses in the desert, some tumbleweeds maybe if we can. This kind of wall can go wherever we want it to, really. It's just kind of where we feel like the terrain needs to go to. We can push it out to that point and then bring a wall up just to enclose this area off. Not really sure if I'm still feeling a farmhouse in this area. We'll just kind of see how things develop. And one other thing I want to do, right now we have all of the cactus coming to this specific point through waterways underneath all this terrain here. And right next to us is the sign for the bank. And I think it would be really fun if, in theme with our big gigantic statues, we have a sort of bank here. Redundant, I know, but one second. The general idea is we have our own burlap sacks that we can come and collect from the bank. And what those will actually be is shulker boxes or maybe even bundles full of dye, like the smelted dye that you get when you smelt cactuses. So instead of storing just cactus, this is supposed to be a dye-themed park, we'll have some kind of a system underground here underneath the bank that automatically smelts all of the cactus, puts it into shulker boxes, maybe brown, maybe green, we'll kind of see, and shoots it all the way up to the top where it sits in like a vault inside the bank. And then whenever we need green dye, we just come here and we rob the bank. I think that would be a real fun idea to play around with, and it feels like such a Western thing to do. Other than that, though, I don't really have any like fun plans for the other buildings. I would like to make them as interactive as I can, but I'm not really sure how to do that whenever we're basically only producing one item in this area. So we'll just kind of see what we can think of in the future. Again, this is going to take us a very long time to complete. So, of course, if any of y'all have any suggestions or any ideas that you want to see, different ideas for different parks relating to the other dyes, please let me know, because so far I think I've only generated like 4 or 5 different ideas for dyes, and there are 16 in total, and that's kind of a lot. So I would appreciate some help on this project. But generally speaking, I think this idea is going to be a lot of fun, and I'm super excited to see what we can come up with. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, people of all ages, the sun is setting right behind me, as is the sun setting on this video. Like what I did there? So we're going to call it an end for today. I really hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.